In the world of Viridia, magic was not a secret, nor a whisper, nor a sudden, startling burst of light. It was the very air you breathed, the ground beneath your feet, the shimmer in the leaves of the highest trees. It was called the Ethelglow, and it flowed like a river of unseen starlight through every living thing, humming a constant gentle song that only the truly attuned could hear. For most, the Ethelglow was simply the reason the moon-petal flowers glowed with a soft inner luminescence in the meadows, or why the river stones sang when the current was just so, or why the elders of Whisperwind Village seemed to carry the wisdom of ages in their very smiles. It was the comfortable, constant magic of everyday life, a warm blanket woven into the fabric of existence. But for Lara, the Ethelglow was more. She saw its nuances, its subtle shifts in color and intensity, the way it pulsed faster around a newborn fawn, or slowed to a deep contemplative hum around the ancient gnarled heart tree in the village square. She could tell a happy day from a sad one by the tenor of its song, a storm brewing by the way it tightened and crackled with unseen energy. Her grandmother, Elara, would often say that Lyra's eyes saw beyond the curtain of ordinary sight, and her ears heard the true music of the world. Lyra lived with Elara in a cozy cottage nestled at the edge of the Whispering Woods, a place where the trees truly seemed to murmur secrets on the wind. Their home smelled of dried herbs, warm bread, and the faint, sweet scent of the Ethelglow itself, a scent Lyra associated with comfort and ancient stories. Elara, with her silver hair woven into intricate braids and eyes that held the twinkle of distant stars, was a teller of tales, a keeper of forgotten lore. It was from her that Lyra learned of the Great Silence, a time long, long ago when the Ethelglow had almost faded entirely, plunging Viridia into a desolate hush. But those were just stories, bedtime whispers meant to stir wonder, not fear. Lately, though, the Ethelglow had been different. Lyra had first noticed it a few weeks ago, a subtle shift that no one else seemed to perceive. The vibrant greens of the forest seemed a touch less brilliant, the singing stones of the river a note flatter, the moon-petal flowers a shade paler. It was as if the world itself was taking a deep, slow breath, holding it, waiting. She tried to explain it to her best friend, Finn, a boisterous boy with a laugh like chimes and hair the color of autumn leaves. "Don't you feel it, Finn? The air is quieter. The glow is thinner." Finn, who was usually more interested in climbing the tallest willow or chasing river sprites, squinted, then shrugged. "Seems fine to me, Lyra. Maybe you're just drawing too much. All those little lines make your eyes tired." He gestured to her ever-present leather-bound journal, filled with intricate sketches of glowing fungi, whispering leaves, and the elusive patterns of the Ethelglow itself. Lyra sighed, sketching a particularly faint ripple in the air. She knew it wasn't her imagination. The Ethelglow was like a beautiful, complex symphony, and lately, some of the instruments seemed to be playing softer, or even missing entirely. One particular beacon in the Viridian sky was the Heart Star. It was not the brightest star, nor the largest, but it was the steadiest, a constant, comforting pulse of pure white light, sitting high above the Whispering Woods like a watchful eye. It was said that the Heart Star was a fragment of the Ethel itself, a constant wellspring of magic, anchoring the world to the greater cosmos. Its light never wavered, never flickered, even on the cloudiest nights, its glow piercing through the thickest veil. But in the last few nights, Lyra had noticed something unsettling about the Heart Star. It had begun to pulse. Not with the rhythmic, gentle thrum of the Ethelglow, but with an erratic, almost frantic beat, like a heart struggling against an unseen burden. She spent hours by her window, watching it, her brow furrowed with concern. On the night of the twin moons, when both the pale silver Luna and the smaller coppery Solara hung in the sky, bathing the world in a double glow, Lyra couldn't sleep. The Ethelglow in the air felt taut, almost brittle. She slipped out of the cottage, her journal tucked under her arm, and made her way to the moon-petal meadow. The meadow was usually a riot of soft living light on twin moon nights, the moon-petal flowers opening their luminous petals to absorb the dual radiance. Tonight, however, the glow was muted, the petals folded inward, as if shivering. A chill wind, unusual for this time of year, whispered through the tall grass. Lyra sat on her favorite moss-covered stone, pulling her cloak tighter around her. She looked up at the Heart Star. Tonight, its pulsing was more violent than ever, a desperate, rapid throb that seemed to shake the very fabric of the night. It shimmered with an unnatural, almost painful brilliance, like a jewel about to crack. Then, it happened. With a sound that was not a sound, but a resonance that echoed deep within Lyra's bones. The heart star flared. It wasn't a gentle bloom of light, but a sudden blinding burst, like a fragile lantern exploding in the vast dark. For a terrifying silent moment, the meadow was bathed in a light so pure and intense that Lyra had to shield her eyes. The moon petals around her shriveled, their luminescence vanishing like snuffed candles. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the light was gone. The heart star was no more. Where its steady beacon had always been, there was now only an empty, inky void. It hadn't just dimmed, or been obscured by clouds. It had vanished. Completely. Utterly. As if it had never been there at all. A profound silence descended upon the meadow, heavier and colder than any Lyra had ever known. The ethelglow, which had always hummed with its gentle song, was utterly mute. The air felt thin, hollow, as if a vital breath had been snatched away. Lyra felt a sudden, sharp pang of loss, a deep, unsettling ache in her chest, as if a part of her own being had been extinguished with the star. She stared at the empty sky, her heart hammering against her ribs, a primal fear coiling in her stomach. The great silence. Was this what Elara had spoken of? Then, a flicker. From the exact spot where the heart star had been, a tiny, almost imperceptible speck of light began to drift downwards. It wasn't falling like a meteorite with speed and fire, but rather floating gently, slowly, like a feather caught on an invisible current. It shimmered with an internal fading brilliance, a miniature echo of the star's former glory. Lyra watched, mesmerized, as the speck descended, growing ever so slightly larger, ever so slightly brighter, though still no bigger than her smallest fingernail. It spiraled gracefully, catching the faint residual light of the twin moons, until it hovered just above the moon petal-covered grass, directly in front of her. It was impossibly beautiful. A perfect teardrop-shaped shard of pure light, pulsating with a soft ethereal glow. It wasn't hot, nor did it burn. It simply radiated a gentle warmth, a comforting hum that, unlike the silent ethelglow around her, was distinctly audible, a faint, sweet melody that resonated deep within her. It pulsed, slowly now, with a rhythm that felt profoundly sad, yet also strangely hopeful. This was no ordinary starfall. This was something precious, something living. Very carefully, Lyra reached out her hand. Her fingers trembled slightly as she cupped the tiny object. It settled into her palm, warm and smooth, like polished crystal, but with a living, inner fire. Its light was a soft, pure white, tinged with the faintest hint of silver. It radiated a feeling of immense power, but also of profound vulnerability, as if it contained a great secret that was slowly, painfully, dimming. This, she knew with an absolute certainty that bypassed thought and went straight to her soul, was a star drop. A fragment of the heart star itself. A piece of the Ethel. She clutched it to her chest, feeling its warmth spread through her, chasing away some of the cold fear that had gripped her. The stardrop pulsed against her skin, a gentle, insistent beat, like a whisper in the vast, silent night. It felt both heavy with sorrow and light with purpose. She had to tell Elara. Lyra ran, the stardrop held tightly in her hand, its faint glow illuminating her path through the withered moonpetal meadow and into the quiet lanes of Whisperwind. The village was asleep, bathed in the muted light of the twin moons, which now seemed strangely dim without the heart star's steady presence. The familiar hum of the ethelglow was still absent, leaving an eerie, unnatural quiet in its wake. She burst into the cottage, the door creaking loudly in the stillness. Elara was not in bed. She sat by the hearth, a shawl wrapped around her shoulders, her eyes fixed on the empty patch of sky visible through the window. Her face was etched with a profound sorrow that Lyra had rarely seen. "Grandmother!" Lyra gasped, out of breath. She held out her hand, the star drop glowing faintly in her palm. "The heart star. It's gone. And this came from it." Elara turned slowly, her gaze falling upon the star drop. Her ancient eyes, usually sparkling with life, now held a deep, troubled wisdom. She didn't question Lyra, didn't doubt her. She simply nodded, a slow, grave movement. "I felt it, child," Elara said, her voice a low murmur like the rustle of dry leaves. The moment it vanished, a great wrenching, a tearing in the very fabric of the athel, a silence unlike any I have known since the tales of old. She reached out a gnarled hand, gently touching the star drop. I'm whole. Its light seemed to pulse a little brighter under her touch, as if recognizing an ancient kinship. This is a fragment of the heart of the Ethel, Ilara confirmed, her voice filled with reverence. A piece of the world's own magic, its very essence. For it to fall, it means the Ethelglow is deeply troubled, far more deeply than any of us have ever experienced. Lyra's heart sank. What does it mean? Is it the Great Silence? Ilara shook her head slowly. Not yet, child. The Great Silence was a time of complete cessation, when the world itself seemed to hold its breath and magic was but a memory. This is an unraveling, a wound. The Ethelglow is not gone, but it is fading, weakening, like a fire dwindling for lack of fuel. She looked at Lyra, her gaze piercing. And you, my Lyra, are the one who saw it fall. You are the one who holds its heart. But what can I do? Lyra whispered, feeling the enormity of the responsibility settle upon her small shoulders. The star drop, though beautiful, felt impossibly heavy now. This star drop, Ilara said, gesturing to the glowing fragment. It is not merely a piece of the heart star. It is a guide. It holds the memory of its origin, a faint echo of the path it took. It must be taken to the place where the Ethelglow runs deepest, where the world's magic is most concentrated. Only there can we hope to understand what has befallen the heart star, and perhaps what must be done to heal it. Where is that? Lyra asked, her voice barely audible. There is an ancient place, Ilara began, her eyes distant, as if seeing through time. Hidden deep within the whispering woods, beyond the sunken marshes and the shifting peaks. A place touched by the Ethelglow since the dawn of Viridia. It is called the Sunken Sanctuary. Few have ever found it, and fewer still have returned unchanged. But the star drop will know the way. Its light will guide you. Lyra stared at her grandmother, a mix of fear and exhilarating wonder swirling within her. The whispering woods were vast and full of wonders, but also dangers. The sunken marshes were rumored to be home to mischievous sprites and deceptive lights, and the shifting peaks were said to confuse even the most seasoned travelers. Ilara rose, moving with a surprising grace for her age. She went to a small carved wooden chest by the hearth, and opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of dried moon petal petals, lay a single, intricate silver locket, shaped like a stylized star. This, Ilara said, taking it out and handing it to Lyra, was your mother's. It holds a fragment of the Ethelglow from the heart tree itself, a protection against the deepest shadows. Wear it. Let it remind you that even when the light seems to fade, it is never truly gone. Lyra clasped the locket. It was cool against her skin, but radiated a faint, comforting warmth. It felt like a promise. You must go, Lyra, Ilara said, her voice gentle but firm. The fate of the Ethelglow, and perhaps of Viridia itself, rests on this journey. The star drop chose you. Trust its light. Trust your own sight, the sight that sees beyond the ordinary. And remember, even in the deepest silence, there is always a song waiting to be heard. Lyra looked down at the star drop in her hand, its faint, sorrowful glow pulsing steadily. She looked at the silver locket, warm against her fingers. Then she looked at the window, at the empty space where the heart star had been. The fear was still there, a cold knot in her stomach, but it was now overshadowed by a fierce resolve. She was Lyra, who saw the Ethelglow, who heard its song. And now, she held its heart. I will go, grandmother, Lyra said, her voice clear and steady, a whisper of determination in the silent night. I will find the sunken sanctuary. She held the star drop up, and in response, its light intensified, casting a small hopeful beacon into the gloom. The path ahead was unknown, fraught with mystery and perhaps peril, but Lyra knew with the certainty of the Ethelglow itself that she had to follow this fading light, to find out what had shattered the heart star, and to understand the meaning of Go. Dia. Say she. The whispering woods. Lyra took her first tentative step into the ancient forest, the faint, shimmering light of the star drop held before her like a tiny, brave star. The air immediately grew cooler, thicker, carrying the scent of damp earth, sweet moss, and something else something ancient and alive, like the breath of sleeping giants. Overhead, the canopy of leaves was so dense it swallowed the already faint moonlight, leaving only the stardrop's glow and the occasional ethereal shimmer of bioluminescent fungi clinging to gnarled tree trunks. The trees themselves were unlike any Lyra had ever seen. Their bark swirled with patterns like forgotten runes, and their branches intertwined high above, forming a vaulted ceiling that seemed to hum with a low, resonant frequency. It wasn't a sound her ears could quite grasp, but rather a vibration that rippled through the soles of her feet, up her spine, and settled in her very heart. This was the whispering she had heard of. Not words, but sensations, emotions, memories carried on the invisible currents of the forest. The stardrop pulsed once, a gentle thrum against her palm, then floated a few inches ahead of her, drawing her deeper. Lyra followed, her breath catching in her throat at the sheer wonder of it all. Each step brought new marvels. Delicate, bell-shaped flowers bloomed in shades of deepest indigo and silver, their petals unfurling slowly to release motes of sparkling dust that danced in the stardrop's glow. Roots, thick as old serpents, snaked across the forest floor, some rising into intricate arches, forming natural gateways that seemed to invite her onward. As she delved further, the whispers grew clearer. They were not malicious, nor even truly audible, but rather a symphony of quiet knowledge. She felt the ancient sorrow of a fallen branch, the patient joy of a new sapling reaching for the light, the steady wisdom of the oldest trees standing guard. The forest wasn't just a collection of plants. It was a vast, interconnected mind, sharing its thoughts in a language of feeling. Suddenly, the stardrop flickered, its light dimming for a heart-stopping moment before blazing bright once more, pointing towards a cluster of particularly ancient, moss-laden oaks. As Lyra drew closer, she saw something move amongst their roots, a flash of emerald green, then a tiny, glowing orb. It was a will-o'-wisp, one of the mischievous, guiding spirits of the Athelglow. It zipped and darted, a playful spark of light, before settling just out of reach, its larger, pearlescent eyes blinking at her with curiosity. "Greetings, little light seeker." A soft, melodious voice drifted through the air, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Lyra realized it was the will-o'-wisp, communicating not with sound waves, but directly with her mind. "Lost or seeking?" I seek the sunken sanctuary," Lyra replied, her voice a little shaky, but firm. "I need to understand what shattered the heart star." The will-o'-wisp circled her slowly, its glow intensifying as if pondering. "Ah, the old wound, a deep scar on the heart of our world. Many seek, few find. The path is not for the faint of spirit, nor for those who do not listen." It paused, then zipped close, circling the stardrop with a fascinated hum. "This is a strong spark you carry, a fragment of the true light. It sings to the ancient ways. Can you help me?" Lyra asked, hope blossoming in her chest. The wisp twirled gracefully. "Perhaps. But first, a test. The Whispering Woods values harmony. To find your way, you must understand balance. What is a song without silence? What is light without shadow? What is growth without patience?" Lyra thought for a moment, recalling the Ethelglow's lessons of interconnectedness. Silence makes the song beautiful, for it lets the notes breathe. Shadow defines the light, giving it form and depth. And growth requires patience, for a seed cannot become a tree overnight, nor a journey be completed in a single step. The will-o'-wisp bobbed approvingly. "Well said, little one. You listen not just with your ears but with your heart. Follow me then. But be swift, for the path through the ancient ways is ever shifting." With a sudden burst of speed, the wisp darted off, its emerald glow a beacon through the deeper shadows. Lyra hurried after it, the stardrop still leading her, but now with the added urgency of the wisp's playful guidance. They wove through thickets of luminous ferns, ducked under drooping branches laden with glowing moss, and stepped over roots that pulsed with a gentle light. The wisp led her not to a path, but way through the forest, a winding, almost invisible route that only the most attuned eye could follow. It seemed to know every secret passage, every hidden glade. After what felt like hours, they emerged into a clearing where the trees thinned slightly, revealing a sight that made Lyra gasp. Before her lay the murmuring river, its surface not reflecting the faint forest light, but shimmering with a soft internal luminescence. It flowed with what looked like liquid starlight, a cascade of silver and sapphire hues, carrying tiny glowing motes that danced like fireflies. A gentle, continuous hum rose from its depths, a sound like countless tiny bells chiming in unison, the murmuring of the river itself. "The river of starlight," the will-o'-wisp announced, hovering over the bank. "It flows from the deepest heart of the Ethelglow, carrying the echoes of every dream dreamt beneath the moon. To cross it you must walk upon the star-moss stepping stones, but they are only revealed to those who truly believe in the magic of the night." Lyra peered at the river. Its surface seemed unbroken, save for the dancing starlight. "How do I find them?" "Listen to the river's song," the wisp advised. "Let your heart guide you. The stardrop will know." Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the gentle hum of the river, feeling its cool, ethereal presence. She held the stardrop before her, and as she opened her eyes, its light pulsed with a new intensity, extending a thin beam directly onto the water. Where the beam touched, a faint shimmer appeared just beneath the surface, revealing the outline of a flat, rounded stone. It wasn't stone at all, but a patch of luminous deep green moss that pulsed with the same starlight as the river. "Star moss," Lyra whispered in awe. With careful steps, she began to cross. Each time she placed her foot on a star moss stepping stone, it would glow brighter, briefly illuminating the depths of the river below. She saw ethereal fish, like shimmering constellations, darting through the liquid starlight. As her foot pressed against the moss, a strange sensation washed over her, not cold, but cool and soothing, as if the river itself were whispering ancient secrets into her soul. She felt a fleeting sense of peace, a memory of warmth and boundless light, a whisper of the heart star's unbroken past. It was as if the moss absorbed not just her weight, but a tiny piece of her own inner light, and in return, gifted her with a fragment of the Ethelglow's ancient wisdom. She reached the other side, her heart swelling with a quiet joy. The will-o'-wisp zipped around her head in a celebratory dance. "You see, little light seeker, the world reveals its wonders to those who know how to look with their heart." Beyond the murmuring river, the forest grew even more ancient. The trees here were colossal, their trunks wider than Lyra was tall, their branches reaching like gnarled arms towards the unseen sky. It was here that the will-o'-wisp finally paused, hovering before a clearing unlike any other. In the center stood a circle of immense weathered stones, each one taller than Lyra, their surfaces encrusted with layers of velvety moss and glowing lichen. These were the Whispering Stones, and their silence was profound, yet Lyra felt the resonant hum from earlier intensify here, vibrating deep within her bones. The stardrop, too, began to pulse with a steady, rhythmic beat, mirroring the ancient pulse of the stones. "These stones remember," the will-o'-wisp communicated, its tone hushed. "They are the memory keepers of the land, carved from the very bedrock of Ethelglow, in an age long past, when the heart star shone brightest." As Lyra approached the circle, the air grew thick, with a sense of immense age and untold stories. She placed her hand on the rough, cool surface of the nearest stone. The stardrop in her other hand flared, and suddenly, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the stone. It wasn't an earthquake, but a ripple of energy, a whisper of the past. Flickering images swam before her eyes, not quite real, but like shadows dancing on the edge of her vision. She saw a land bathed in brilliant golden light, a sky alive with swirling colors, and at its heart, a magnificent pulsating star, the heart star, whole and radiant, showering the world with pure, unblemished Ethelglow. She saw beings of light, graceful and vibrant, moving through this world, tending to its wonders. They were the children of Ethelglow, their forms shimmering with inner light. Then the vision shifted. A creeping shadow, not physical but an absence of light, began to spread from the edge of her sight. It was cold and draining, slowly engulfing the vibrant colors, dimming the heart star's brilliance. A wave of sorrow, like a distant wail, washed over her. She saw the light beings recoil, their forms flickering with fear. The heart star pulsed frantically, its golden light warring with the encroaching darkness, until finally, with a silent, heart-wrenching cracking, it shattered into a million fragments of sorrowful light. The land plunged into twilight, the vibrant colors muted, the whispers now carrying a note of profound despair. Lyra gasped, pulling her hand away from the stone, the vision fading. The stardrop dimmed slightly, as if sharing her shock. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "An echo," the will-o-wisp replied, its light a little softer now, reflecting Lyra's sorrow. A memory held by the stone. The shattering was not merely an event, but a wound that reverberated through all of Athelglow. The sunken sanctuary was built in its aftermath, a place where the fragments of the heart star were gathered to protect them, to keep their light from fading entirely. A low, rumbling sound resonated from the deepest part of the clearing. The ground trembled, and from amongst the ancient stones, a truly colossal figure slowly began to rise. It was a being of living wood and moss, ancient and slow, its eyes like deep pools of shadow reflecting the faint light. This was a Trent, one of the oldest guardians of the Whispering Woods. Its branches, thick as tree trunks, stirred, and a voice like the creaking of ancient timber echoed through the clearing. "The child of Athelglow returns, bearing a fragment of the true light. The heart star remembers your touch, little one. The wound is deep, but hope still blooms in the shadows." Lyra looked up at the immense, gentle being. "Great guardian, do you know where the sunken sanctuary lies?" The Trent slowly lowered a branch, its gnarled fingers touching the ground near Lyra. "Its true location is veiled, protected by layers of ancient magic, but the path begins where the moon weeps, and dreams are woven into the air. Seek the moon petal glade, little one. There, the dream weaver may show you a clearer vision." With a final deep sigh, the Trent settled back amongst the stones, becoming one with the forest once more. The will-o-wisp, now more serious, nudged Lyra forward. "The guardian speaks truth. The moon petal glade is a place of solace and insight. Come, the path is long." They continued their journey, the Whispering Woods seeming to grow quieter now, as if listening to Lyra's thoughts. The star drop glowed steadily, a comforting presence. The wisp, less playful, led her through increasingly peaceful parts of the forest, where the air was sweet and fragrant, and the bioluminescent fungi cast soft, comforting glows. Finally, they stepped into a breathtaking expanse of tranquility, the moon petal glade. It was a wide circular clearing bathed in a perpetual gentle twilight, as if the moon itself had settled here to rest. The ground was carpeted with soft, silvery grass, and everywhere, delicate, luminous flowers bloomed, the moon petals. Their petals, like spun moonlight, unfurled slowly, releasing a faint, sweet perfume that filled the air and seemed to lull the senses into a state of serene calm. In the very center of the glade, nestled amongst the tallest moon petals, was a shimmering, translucent being. It was formless, yet seemed to shift and flow like mist, its essence woven with threads of softest light and shadow. Its eyes, if they could be called eyes, were like twin pools of starlight, ancient and knowing. This was the Dreamweaver. "Welcome, Lyra," a voice, soft as a sigh of wind through silken leaves, echoed in her mind. "We have awaited your coming. The whispers of the woods have carried your determination, and the river's song, your courage." The will-o-wisp zipped respectfully around the Dreamweaver, then settled on Lyra's shoulder. "She seeks understanding, Weaver. She bears the stardrop and carries the memory of the heart star's wound." The Dreamweaver extended a tendril of shimmering mist towards Lyra, gesturing to a patch of particularly soft, glowing moon petals. "Rest, child of Athelglow. The journey has been long, and your spirit needs replenishment. Here, in the embrace of the moon petals, you may find the clarity you seek." Lyra, feeling a profound weariness settle over her, gratefully sank onto the soft, glowing petals. The scent of the moon petals enveloped her, and the gentle hum of the glade seemed to soothe every tired muscle. She closed her eyes, clutching the stardrop, its warmth a comforting anchor. As she drifted, not quite asleep, not quite awake, the Dreamweaver's presence enveloped her. Images began to form in her mind's eye, clearer and more vivid than the echoes from the whispering stones. She saw the heart star again, whole and vibrant, radiating life across Athelglow. But this time she saw the source of the creeping shadow more clearly. It wasn't a single entity, but a growing discord, a dissonant chord struck within the very fabric of magic. It was a yearning for individual power, a turning away from the collective harmony of Athelglow. She saw whispers of ambition, of ancient secrets misused, of a desire to control the Athelglow rather than be a part of it. Then, the vision shifted. She saw the sunken sanctuary, not as it was now, but as it was conceived, a magnificent crystalline structure, deep beneath the earth, shimmering with captured starlight. She saw the children of Ethelglow carefully gathering the shattered fragments of the heart star, sealing them within its deepest chamber, weaving powerful protective spells. But as they did so, a faint ethereal mist, like the sorrowful breath of the shattered heart star, began to rise from the sanctuary itself, obscuring its true location, making it sunken not just beneath the earth, but beneath a veil of forgetfulness and protective magic. The Dreamweaver's voice echoed in her mind. The sanctuary was hidden not just for protection, but because its very existence became a testament to Ethelglow's sorrow. To find it, you must pierce the veil of mists and seek the silent depths. The path will lead you through the shadowed pass, where the lingering echoes of discord still reside. Lyra stirred, opening her eyes. The glade was still bathed in its soft twilight, and the Dreamweaver floated silently before her. She felt refreshed, her spirit renewed, and her mind clearer than ever. The vision had not only shown her the sanctuary's purpose, but had also hinted at the true nature of the shattering, a disharmony born from within. "Thank you, Dreamweaver," Lyra said, rising. "Go with the blessing of Ethelglow, little light seeker," the Dreamweaver replied, its form shimmering once more before dissolving into the gentle mist of the glade. The will-o-wisp now zipped with renewed purpose. "The shadowed pass awaits. It is a place where the light of the heart star struggles, but your stardrop will guide us." They left the tranquil beauty of the moonpetal glade, following the wisp deeper into what felt like the oldest, most untouched parts of Ethelglow. As they ventured, the gentle glow of the forest began to recede. The trees grew taller, their branches intertwining so tightly that they formed a perpetual twilight. The air grew still and heavy, and a profound silence settled around them, broken only by Lyra's soft footsteps and the gentle hum of the stardrop. This was the Shadowed Pass. Here the Ethelglow felt thin, stretched, almost weary. The vibrant colors of the earlier woods were replaced by muted greens, grays, and deep browns. The ground was rocky and uneven, and strange, thorny vines snaked across the path, their barbs seeming to reach out. Lyra felt a subtle drain on her energy, a sense of unease that prickled at her skin. The stardrop, though still glowing, flickered occasionally, its light seeming to struggle against an unseen force. "The echoes of discord are strong here," the will-o-wisp communicated, its usual playful zips replaced by a more cautious hovering. "This is where the Heartstar's sorrow lingers most profoundly, where the veil between worlds thins, and shadows born of disharmony can take fleeting form." Lyra clutched the stardrop tighter, its warmth a reassurance. The pass wasn't frightening in a monstrous way, but in a way that felt spiritually draining, as if the very air was heavy with ancient regret. She saw fleeting glimpses of movement at the edge of her vision, shadows that weren't shadows, but impressions of sorrow, doubt and loss, whispering temptations of giving up, of turning back. "It's too hard, Lyra. The heart star is broken. What can one small light do?" The whispers seemed to imply, twisting through her mind. But Lyra pushed through. She remembered the courage the Ethelglow had instilled in her, the certainty that even the smallest light could pierce the greatest darkness. She focused on the stardrop, on its steady, unwavering warmth, and on the image of the sunken sanctuary, a place of hope and healing. The path began to ascend, growing steeper and rockier. The trees gave way to jagged, dark stone cliffs that towered above them, sharp and menacing. These were the sky-shard peaks, their summits lost in swirling mists that clung to their heights like tattered cloaks. Lyra felt the air grow thin and cold, carrying the scent of raw stone and distant rain. The will-o-wisp, now leading with an almost frantic energy, zipped up the winding, perilous path, its emerald glow a vivid contrast to the stark landscape. Lyra followed, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her small boots finding purchase on the rough-hewn steps that seemed to have been carved by ancient winds. They climbed for what felt like an age, the world below them shrinking into a distant, muted landscape. Finally, near the highest point of one of the towering peaks, the will-o-wisp paused before a narrow crevice in the rock face, from which a faint, crystalline chime could be heard. Within, the wisp communicated, its voice hushed, lies the oracle of winds. It speaks in currents and whispers, revealing what the land cannot. It will tell you how to pierce the veil. Lyra squeezed through the narrow opening, emerging into a small, echoing cave carved naturally into the peak. The air inside was surprisingly warm, and filled with a constant melodic chorus of chimes. Hundreds of delicate crystalline wind chimes of all sizes hung from the cave ceiling, swaying gently in currents of air that seemed to flow from nowhere. At the center of the cave, suspended in mid-air by these invisible currents, was a swirling vortex of shimmering air, constantly shifting in color and form. This was the Oracle of Winds. Little Light-Bearer, a voice composed of countless chimes and whispers, filled the cave, resonating not just in her ears, but in the very core of her being. You have braved the sorrow and climbed the heights. The Heartstar yearns for healing. Lyra knelt, feeling the immense power and wisdom emanating from the swirling air. Great Oracle, I seek the sunken sanctuary. I have been told it lies beyond a veil of mists, in the silent depths. How do I find it? The oracle swirled faster, the chimes intensifying, forming a complex melody that spoke of ancient truths. The veil of mists is born of sorrow and forgotten dreams, a shroud woven by the ethel glow itself to protect its deepest wound. To pierce it, you must carry the combined lights, the certainty of the stardrop, the listening heart of the whispering woods, the serene wisdom of the river of starlight, and the renewed hope of the moonpetal glade. But these alone are not enough. The chimes softened, becoming a single, clear note. The silent depths are not merely a place, but a state of being. You must quiet the echoes of discord within yourself, and listen for the faintest song of the Heartstar. It is not found by seeking, but by knowing. The sanctuary lies where the highest peak meets the deepest water, where sorrow is embraced, and remembrance ignites the path. Seek the great mirror lake, where the sky-shard peaks cast their longest shadow. Their veil begins to thin, and remember this, childs. The oracle's swirling form began to dissipate, the chimes fading into a gentle whisper that seemed to echo Lyra's own thoughts. The will-o-wisp, perched on her shoulder, nudged her gently. The great mirror lake, it is said to lie at the foot of these very peaks, where the rivers from the highest snowmelt gather. Lyra stepped out of the oracle's cave, looking out over the vast, sprawling landscape. The mists were thick here, swirling around the sky-shard peaks, obscuring the distant horizon. But as she gazed downwards, following the path of a shimmering river that snaked its way down from the peaks, she saw it. Far below, nestled amongst the lowest slopes, a vast, still body of water, its surface so perfectly reflective, it seemed to swallow the entire sky. It shimmered with an unnatural calm, even beneath the swirling mists. The great mirror lake. The stardrop in her hand pulsed with a strong, unwavering light, a beacon of hope and direction. The journey had been long, filled with wonders and ancient wisdom, and Lyra now carried not just the stardrop, but a deeper understanding of Ethelglow, of the Heartstar, and of her own purpose. The sanctuary was still hidden, shrouded in the veil of mists, but for the first time, Lyra felt she knew exactly where to begin looking, and what she would need to reveal it. The path ahead was still uncertain, still fraught with the mystery of the silent depths, and the challenge of piercing the veil. But Lyra knew with the certainty of the Ethelglow itself, that she was closer than ever to finding the sunken sanctuary, and understanding the meaning of its long-held secret. Its long-held secret. Lyra stood at the precipice of her understanding, the Ethelglow a warm, insistent pulse against her skin, echoing the beat of her own heart. The air shimmered around her, not with heat, but with the residue of revelation. She knew. It wasn't a whisper of intuition this time, but a crystalline certainty. To pierce the veil of mists, to reveal the sunken sanctuary, she would need not a key of metal or a spell of spoken word, but a song. A specific, ancient resonance. The song of the Deep Seers. The Deep Seers were creatures of legend, even in the most obscure lore Lyra had ever studied. Said to dwell in the deepest, most inaccessible parts of the silent depths, they were guardians of forgotten frequencies, their voices capable of weaving and unweaving the very fabric of illusion and concealment. Their song was not merely sound, it was vibration, a harmonic pattern older than the mountains, capable of parting any magical shroud. Finding them, let alone convincing them to share their sacred melody, would be a monumental task. But with the Ethelglow's glow illuminating her path, Lyra felt an unshakable resolve. Her first task was preparation. She returned to her small, sun-dappled cottage, her mind racing with newfound purpose. From dusty shelves, She pulled out ancient texts, brittle scrolls that crumbled at the edges, their faded ink hinting at forgotten knowledge. She found fleeting mentions of the deep seers, always accompanied by warnings of the treacherous journey to their domain. The text spoke of crushing pressures, currents that could tear ships apart, and creatures of the abyss whose forms defied earthly description. Yet, they also spoke of breathtaking beauty, of glowing flora and fauna, and of a silence so profound it was said to hold the very whispers of creation. Lyra carefully selected her gear. A small woven satchel, enchanted to remain dry and light. Within it, she placed a handful of concentrated nutrient wafers, a coil of unbreakable sea silk rope, and a tiny, perfectly spherical orb of petrified moonlight, a gift from her grandmother, said to repel the deepest gloom. Most importantly, she secured a delicate silver amulet, shaped like a spiral shell, which had been passed down through her family for generations. It was said to hold a fragment of the whisper of the tides, a subtle magic that allowed its wearer to breathe for extended periods underwater and to understand the currents. It was a charm of adaptation, not invincibility, but it would be invaluable. With a final glance at her cozy home, Lyra stepped out, leaving behind the familiar comforts of land for the unknown challenges of the deep. The journey to the silent depths began at the jagged coastline, where towering cliffs plunged into a restless, sapphire sea. The air grew cooler, saltier, carrying the scent of kelp and ancient stones. As she descended the winding coastal path, the roar of the surf grew louder, a powerful prelude to the world she was about to enter. At the water's edge, Lyra paused, the waves lapping at her boots. The ocean stretched out, an endless expanse of shimmering mystery. She activated the silver amulet, feeling a cool tingle spread through her lungs, a subtle shift in her perception. The ethel glow pulsed on her chest, a beacon of inner light. Taking a deep breath, Lyra walked into the waves. The initial shock of the cold water quickly gave way to a strange sense of belonging. The amulet hummed, and Lyra found she could breathe, not with lungs, but with a new ethereal capacity, drawing oxygen directly from the water itself. The world above vanished, replaced by a sublime shifting realm of blues and greens. Sunlight filtered down, broken into dancing shafts that illuminated schools of glimmering fish, darting like living jewels. Seaweed forests swayed with the rhythm of the hidden currents, their fronds reaching upwards like silent prayers. As Lyra swam deeper, the light began to fade, giving way to twilight hues, then to a profound, indigo darkness. Here the true magic of the silent depths began to reveal itself. Bioluminescent organisms illuminated her path. Jellyfish pulsed with soft internal lights. Strange, angler-like fish dangled their glowing lures, and vast colonies of glow moss clung to the rock faces, casting an ethereal, emerald sheen over ancient caverns and unseen chasms. The silence was immense, broken only by the distant, rhythmic thrum of the ocean's heart and the occasional click or whir of unseen creatures. It was a silence that spoke of forgotten ages, of a world untouched by the clamor of the surface. Lyra used the ethel glow as her compass. It didn't point in a direction, but rather resonated with the faint, ancient echoes of the deep seer's song, a vibrational signature that only she, attuned by the ethel glow, could perceive. It was a subtle pull, a whisper in the vastness, guiding her ever downwards, deeper into the abyssal plains. Her journey was not long untroubled. As she ventured into the labyrinthine network of submerged canyons known as the Whispering Chasms, Lyra encountered her first true obstacle, the Maelstrom's Kiss. It was not a single whirlpool, but a series of interconnected, rotating currents, each one pulling with incredible force, threatening to drag her into its churning maw. The water here was turbulent, visibility low, and the pressure immense. Even with the whisper of the tide's amulet, Lyra struggled against the powerful vortexes. She knew she couldn't simply swim through. Suddenly, from the swirling depths, forms emerged. They were the current weavers, beings of pure undulating energy, their bodies like living ribbons of light, swirling and dancing within the currents they commanded. They had no distinct faces, only patterns of light that shifted with their intentions. They moved with an elegant, almost playful mastery, guiding the Maelstrom's Kiss, not out of malice, but as a protective barrier around their ancient domain. One of the current weavers, larger and brighter than the others, pulsed with curiosity as it approached Lyra. It circled her, its luminous tendrils brushing against her, feeling her energy. Lyra felt a surge of apprehension, but also a strange sense of peace from the ethel glow. She focused her intent, projecting her purpose. Seek the deep seers. I mean, no harm. I need their song to reveal a hidden truth. Oh no. The current weavers communicated not through sound, but through the intricate patterns of their light and the subtle shifts in the water's flow. The lead weaver pulsed a complex pattern of emerald and sapphire light, which Lyra, aided by the ethel glow, understood as a question. Why disturb our waters? Why seek the song of the ancients? Lyra knew words would be useless. Instead, she concentrated, drawing on the ethel glow, and projected an image, the shimmering, veiled form of the sunken sanctuary, its importance, the yearning for its revelation, and the sense of balance and healing it promised. She showed them her earnestness, her respect for the ancient ways, and the urgency of her quest. She also showed them a memory, a tiny trapped lumina-fish, caught in a tangle of deep-sea silk, and her act of carefully freeing it, releasing it back into the current. It was a small, recent act of kindness, demonstrating her reverence for all life in the depths. The current weavers swirled, their lights flickering in contemplation. The lead weaver pulsed a final, intricate sequence then. With a graceful sweeping motion, it began to alter the currents around Lyra. The maelstrom's kiss, which moments before had been a deadly obstacle, parted. A calm, clear path opened through the churning waters, a temporary corridor guided by the current weaver's will. They were not granting her passage lightly, but acknowledging her sincere intent. As Lyra swam through the opening, the weavers pulsed a final gentle pattern, a silent blessing, before the currents closed once more behind her. Having navigated the treacherous maelstrom's kiss, Lyra found herself in a vast, silent basin, its floor carpeted with soft, glowing moss. The ethel glow's pull was still present, but fainter, diffused by the sheer immensity of the ocean. The deep seers were incredibly elusive. Their specific location was not fixed but shifted, hidden by layers of natural magic and ancient wisdom. She knew she needed more specific guidance. It was then she heard it, a sound like no other, resonating not through her ears, but through her very bones. A deep, mournful, yet profoundly beautiful song that vibrated through the water, through the rock, through her own being. It was the song of an echo whale. These colossal creatures were the living libraries of the deep, their calls mapping the ocean floor, their memories holding the lore of forgotten ages. Their songs were not just communication, they were a form of ancient cartography, a history woven from sound. Lyra followed the echoes swimming towards the source. She found it in a colossal, cathedral-like cavern, its ceiling soaring into the darkness, its walls adorned with crystalline formations that shimmered with an inner light. There, suspended in the vastness, was the echo whale. It was immense, larger than any creature Lyra had ever imagined, its skin a tapestry of mottled blue and gray, adorned with barnacles and ancient scars. Its eyes, the size of carriage wheels, glowed with a gentle, knowing light. As it sang, its vast body pulsed with the vibrations, sending ripples of energy through the water. Lyra approached cautiously, feeling dwarfed by its majestic presence. She knew she could not simply ask for directions. She had to connect. She remembered the current weaver's response to her projected intentions. Drawing upon the ethel glow, she began to hum, a soft, resonant tone, mirroring a fragment of the echo whale's complex song. It was a simple, heartfelt plea for connection, for understanding. The echo whale ceased its song. Its immense body slowly turned, its glowing eyes focusing on Lyra. It seemed to peer not just at her physical form, but into the very essence of her being. Lyra projected her purpose again, the sunken sanctuary, the veil of mists, the need for the deep seer's song, the balance she sought to restore. She showed it the vision of the ethel glow, the ancient light she carried, connecting her to the deep truths. After a long, silent moment that stretched like an age, the echo whale began to sing again, but this time, its song was different. It was softer, more intricate, interwoven with a thread of images and sensations that flowed directly into Lyra's mind, a language beyond words. She saw towering, obsidian pillars, shimmering with faint purple light. She felt a subtle vibration, a specific frequency that resonated with the ethel glow's hum and light. She understood. The deep seers did not dwell in a single grotto, but moved between three sacred obsidian pillars, hidden within a vast, forgotten abyssal trench known as the Starweaver's Scar. The echo whale's song was not just pointing a direction, it was giving her a complex map, etched in sound and memory. It was a path that required not just navigation, but attunement. With a final resonating pulse of its ancient song, the echo whale turned slowly, its immense form fading into the deep, leaving Lyra with a profound sense of gratitude and a new understanding of the ocean's living history. Armed with the echo whale's guidance, Lyra pressed on, the ethel glow now pulsing with a clearer, more defined direction. The journey to the Starweaver's Scar led her through terrain unlike anything she had seen before. The ocean floor here was not soft and mossy, but a vast expanse of jagged obsidian rock, rent by deep fissures that plunged into unimaginable darkness. Strange, crystalline growth sprouted from the rock, resembling frozen constellations, shimmering with a faint internal light that mimicked distant stars. This was the Starweaver's Scar, a place where the earth itself seemed to whisper of cosmic secrets. Following the echo whale's sonic map, Lyra navigated through narrow canyons and across vast silent plains. The pressure here was immense, a constant heavy embrace, but the whisper of the tide's amulet held firm, protecting her. She passed ghost-like schools of blind pale fish, adapted to the eternal night, and saw ancient slow-moving creatures that seemed to be more rock than flesh, living monuments to the passage of time. Finally, she saw them. 3 colossal obsidian pillars, rising from the abyssal plain like ancient sentinels. They were not smooth, but intricately carved, their surfaces etched with symbols that pulsed with a faint purple luminescence, the very light the echo whale had shown her. These were the sacred pillars, the shifting homes of the deep seers. As she drew closer, Lyra felt a profound change in the water. It became still, almost viscous, imbued with an incredible density of sound and silence. The ethel glow on her chest thrummed with heightened intensity, resonating with the very core of this sacred space. Between the pillars, a subtle shimmering curtain hung in the water, not a physical barrier, but a veil of perception, a natural illusion woven from pure silence and ancient magic. This was the entrance to the deep seer's true domain. Lyra passed through the shimmering curtain, and found herself in a vast, circular grotto, its ceiling a dome of glowing phosphorescent rock, resembling a starry night sky. The air, or rather the water, here was thick with an impalpable sense of ancient wisdom, a profound stillness that vibrated with unspoken knowledge. And there they were, the deep seers. They were unlike any creature she had ever imagined. Not biological in the conventional sense, they appeared as beings of concentrated light and sound, coalesced into forms that were both fluid and crystalline. Each deep seer was a pulsating nexus of iridescent hues, constantly shifting, their bodies composed of countless shimmering threads of light that wove together, giving them an appearance of immense, multi-limbed, celestial beings. They floated in perfect stillness, arranged in a vast circle around a central, softly glowing abyss, their forms radiating a gentle, profound hum that was the very essence of their being. Their eyes, if they could be called that, were deep pools of pure light, ancient and knowing. Lyra, feeling utterly insignificant yet profoundly honored, approached the circle. She knelt, or rather lowered herself respectfully in the water, her ethel glow pulsing in harmony with their gentle hum. She projected her purpose one last time, with all the sincerity and earnestness she possessed. She conveyed the vision of the veiled sunken sanctuary, the ethel glow's guidance, the importance of balance, and the hope for a future where ancient truths could once again guide the world. The deep seers did not speak with mouths, but with the silent language of vibration and thought. Lyra felt their collective awareness touch her mind, a gentle probing presence. They sifted through her intentions, her memories, her very spirit. She felt no judgment, only an ancient, deep understanding. They showed her visions, glimpses of the sanctuary and its glory, then its shrouding, a protective act against a forgotten cataclysm. They showed her the delicate balance of concealment and revelation, of silence and song. Then one of the deep seers, larger and brighter than the rest, pulsed with a thought that resonated clearly in Lyra's mind. Wyeth's song is not given lightly. It is not merely sound, but understanding. To pierce the veil, one must not merely sing, but resonate with its truth. Prove your understanding of balance, of the necessity of both light and shadow, of voice and silence. Only when The test was not one of strength or riddle, but of spirit. The deep seers presented Lyra with a series of rapidly shifting visions, a world of eternal light, burning brightly, consuming itself, a world of perpetual darkness, cold and desolate, a vibrant ecosystem, then one choked by unchecked growth, a silence so absolute it crushed, then a cacophony so loud it deafened. Through each vision, Lyra had to intuitively grasp the truth, the necessity of equilibrium. She understood that the sanctuary was veiled not to be lost, but to be protected, awaiting the right moment, the right understanding, for its revelation. The veil was not just a barrier, but a guardian. With each vision, Lyra focused on the etherglow within her, allowing its inherent wisdom to guide her answer. She projected the concept of dynamic balance, of cycles, of the quiet strength found in restraint, and the joyful expression found in release. She understood that true unveiling wasn't about tearing down a barrier, but about aligning with its purpose, finding the frequency that allowed it to willingly part. Finally, the deep seers pulsed with a collective, resounding hum of acceptance. You have shown understanding, seeker of truth. The full song of the deep seers cannot be given, for it is a living thing, a symphony of the ages. But we will imbue you with its seed, a resonance, a harmonic frequency that will allow you to attune to the veil. It is not the key, but the understanding of how to turn it. The veil will part for one who truly understands its purpose. A wave of pure resonant energy flowed from the deep seers towards Lyra. It was not painful, but profoundly transformative. She felt the etherglow surge, connecting with this ancient power, interweaving with her very being. A new sense awakened within her, not just hearing but feeling the vibrational pulse of the world, sensing the subtle frequencies that held things together, and those that could make them part. She now carried a fragment of the deep seer's wisdom, a deep-seated hum that would resonate with the veil itself. Filled with a renewed sense of purpose, Lyra bowed deeply to the deep seers. They pulsed a final, gentle farewell, and she turned, passing back through the shimmering curtain, leaving the sacred grotto. The journey was far from over. She had found the deep seers past their test, and gained a crucial understanding. She now possessed the inner resonance, the vibrational key, to approach the veil of mists. The sunken sanctuary awaited, closer than ever, its secrets on the precipice of revelation. Lyra knew what she needed to do next, find the veil itself, and with the deep seer's resonance humming within her, attempt to sing its truth. Lyra let the deep hum guide her. It wasn't a sound, but a feeling, a gentle thrumming beneath her skin that vibrated in harmony with the world around her. She journeyed deeper into the ancient, whispering forest, where trees wore cloaks of phosphorescent moss, and the air tasted of wet stone and starlight. The deep seer's resonance pulled her towards a place of profound stillness, a clearing where even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Before her, a swirling, opalescent curtain hung between two colossal, moss-draped monoliths. This was it. The Veil of Mists. It shimmered with an inner light, like captured aurora borealis, constantly shifting, revealing glimpses of unseen realms within its depths. A cool, fragrant mist drifted from its surface, tasting of ancient dreams and forgotten stars. Lyra approached, her heart a drum of anticipation and reverence. The deep seer's resonance within her intensified, a warm golden current flowing through her veins, tingling at her fingertips and lips. She took a deep breath, letting the sacred vibration fill her. Then, she began to sing. Her voice, usually clear and bright, now carried a new depth. A resonant hum that vibrated not just in the air, but in the very fabric of existence. It was the song of the deep seers, a melody of interconnectedness, of the silent language of stone and star, of root and river. As her song wove its intricate pattern, the veil of mists responded. The swirling colors intensified, pulsing in time with her voice. The mist grew thicker, then thinner, parting like silken curtains drawn by unseen hands. A pathway opened, not a physical clearing but a shimmering tunnel of pure light and sound, beckoning her inward. With a final unwavering note, Lyra stepped through the departing veil. The world shifted around her, colors deepening, sounds softening into a gentle, ethereal hum. She found herself in a vast subterranean cavern, not dark or damp, but bathed in a soft, ambient glow that seemed to emanate from the very air. This was the sunken sanctuary. Massive crystal formations like ancient trees grown from light soared towards a domed ceiling of glowing bioluminescent fungi. Gentle currents of luminous water flowed through channels carved into the crystalline floor, murmuring lullabies as they passed. The air was warm and smelled of ozone and forgotten magic. Strange ethereal flora pulsed with soft light, their leaves like spun moonlight. There were no walls, no doors, only an endless expanse of wonder, echoing with a profound sense of peace. In the very heart of this magnificent space, where all the glowing currents converged, stood a single, shimmering pool. Its surface was perfectly still, reflecting the entire sanctuary like a flawless mirror, yet deeper within, a soft, golden light pulsed rhythmically. This was the heart spring, the source of the sanctuary's magic, the very wellspring of the world's quiet wisdom. Lyra knelt beside it, her reflection merging with the glowing depths. As she gazed into the heart spring, the deep seer's resonance within her finally reached its crescendo. It wasn't a sudden burst, but a gentle unfurling, like a blossom opening to the sun. Images, not seen with her eyes, but felt in her soul, flowed into her mind. The slow, patient growth of mountains, the tireless dance of tides, the silent birth of stars, the hidden strength in every seed. She understood. The sunken sanctuary wasn't a place for forgotten spells or powerful artifacts, but a living library of existence, a repository of the world's inherent harmony. The secret it held was not a thing to be taken, but a truth to be embraced. That magic was not an external force to be wielded, but the intrinsic connection between all things. It was the gentle current flowing through every stone, every creature, every whisper of wind, the understanding that true strength lay in recognizing and honoring these subtle, powerful connections. A profound sense of serenity settled over Lyra. She felt not diminished by the vastness of the truth, but expanded, her own inner light now shining brighter, attuned to the universe's soft, rhythmic pulse. She had sought a secret, and found a revelation, not a key to unlock a door, but an understanding that unlocked her own heart. With the hot spring's gentle glow illuminating her spirit, Lyra rose. She knew she could not stay here, for the world outside also needed its quiet truths. As she turned, the path through the veil of mists reappeared, shimmering softly, a promise of safe passage. She carried no tangible treasure, no ancient scroll or glowing gem. Instead, she carried the hum of the heartspring within her, the deep seer's song echoing in her bones, and the quiet wisdom of interconnectedness guiding her every step. Stepping back through the veil, Lyra emerged into the moonlit forest, forever changed. The world around her seemed more vibrant, more alive, infused with the magic she now understood was everywhere. She had found the sunken sanctuary, and in doing so, she had truly found herself, a guardian of harmony, a singer of the world's truth, ready to share the gentle, powerful magic that made every breath a wonder and every dream a journey. And as the forest whispered its lullaby, Lyra knew she would sleep soundly, her heart filled with the quiet, endless song of the world.